Welcome, one and all. First time readers and lifelongers. This is news, where we break down everything you need to know in comics so you can jump right in with your favorite characters. I'm one of your hosts, Odell,
James?
and here we go to bring to you everything you need to know.
Alright, starting with the latest news, Jessica Jones trailer came out today. Very impressed. Thoughts?
Um, David Tennant is the reason I would be watching the show. And it's sad because it's not his show. But he's just, in the trailer, you see how he delivers on this role, and he hits it spot on.
Yeah.
And he, to me, is far more intriguing than her.
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, I think that's the case in a lot of comic book stories and TV and movie stories as well, where it's almost the character that makes the villain that makes the character interesting in the first place. I mean, the best part about The Dark Knight, everybody would argue, would be the Joker. Or, you look at, even in Daredevil, which is, basically just the pre-runner of Jessica Jones anyway, Kingpin stole the show. I mean, Charlie Cox was great as Daredevil, don't get me wrong, and he introduced Daredevil to an audience that it never had.
Yes, he did an amazing job with that role.
Absolutely, he made it somebody that people cared about, and wanted to see from a character that very few people knew about. But I mean, look at they didn't call him Kingpin, but Fisk, where he was just as much, if not more, of a draw, both as an actor and as a character.
But I think that's because he wasn't the Kingpin we were used to. In the
I agree.
sense of we never got to see that side of him, so it was like a brand new character.
Sure. And I think that's true for fans of the character of Kingpin. But even for people that maybe weren't as familiar, I mean, some people were familiar with him through Spider-Man.
Yes. That's where I gained my familiarity with him.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard about him was also undoubtedly through Spider-Man. But even people that would know him in Spider-Man, he's not somebody, if you're not a fan of Spider-Man, if you're not a comic book kind of person, you wouldn't associate, like, if somebody says Spider-Man, even if they have no interest in comics or comic movies, they might still come up with Dr. Octopus or somebody like that. Like, they've picked it up somewhere, right? Or Venom or whoever. Same thing with Batman, they're going to say the Joker, right? They just know that there's that guy. Kingpin wouldn't be that guy unless you're talking about Daredevil. And I don't think many people would associate that, because I don't think many people are familiar with the character. But I guess that was a really long way of getting around to the fact that I think they're going to do something very similar with Jessica Jones. And I think that you're right that the Purple Man, one, will be shown in a way that is different from the comic. So even people that are familiar with him from the comic will get to see it, like you said, maybe a different side or a different version. But even for people that, like myself, that know him but aren't uber invested in him, or just people that are probably 90% of the future audience don't know anything about him, I think he'll be a really interesting character to learn. With Kingpin, like you said, we kind of learned a new side. With Purple Man, we're going to be learning all of it because we're starting from scratch in a lot of cases, which is perfect because we're starting from scratch with Jessica Jones for all intents and purposes, most people. And so we'll get to see them play off each other.
I think they're on equal playing ground.
They are, as far as name recognition. I think they probably are. I mean, and they're just going down the barrel as you go. I mean, you could argue Iron Fist has a followership that's pretty decent.
He's become more popular recently because he's on that Spider-Man the animated series.
Yeah, well,
the Warriors, I think it is.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that makes sense. But that, again, that's going to be more with probably newer fans than older fans.
Yeah, because he didn't even get a Secret Wars title.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was never a mainstream. I mean, his biggest thing was being part of the Defenders. Probably. I mean, he's been in some other things, but I guess I
might be lying. There's that Kung Fu one, but Kung Fu Challenge, Secret Wars.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't read it because fuck that.
Well, I guess all that to say that is just another step down. It's interesting because with Netflix, they started maybe the opposite of what Marvel did with the movies. With Marvel, they started with the least known character and kind of worked their way back up. If you consider Iron Man 1 the beginning of the actual Marvel movies.
Yes.
So they started with the least known maybe character of them. Well, Thor was probably less known, but they did Iron Man, then they did the Incredible Hulk, and then Captain America. And so they're doing kind of the reverse with TV, is where they're introducing the most known, which would be of course Daredevil, then Jessica Jones, and then Luke Cage, and so forth. So
I'm not happy to see Luke Cage.
I don't care at all, really, other than I want to see how it all ties together. And now that the Punisher's getting thrown in the mix, as you know, I feel about that. So I'm interested to see how all of that plays out. And please give the Punisher his own Netflix series, 1 hour long. Up the violence from even what Daredevil was, and just take him out of Hell's Kitchen, put him on at least in New York, if not all over the place, and let him go to town on the mob. That I'll watch it all day. But anyway, I digress.
That's my spiel. Welcome to the Punisher.
Speaking of new Punisher, they are releasing a new Punisher series, which is supposed to be a lot darker, a lot grittier. It's a comic series.
So like Punisher Max back in the day.
Yeah, I think it is kind of a throwback to maybe his rougher times. I mean, in the 90s, he had kind of this sensitive side run where, he was in all blue, and he still killed people, and he's still Punisher, but he did it really in very nice ways. He'd shoot you in the head or in the heart, you didn't feel anything. He helped people. At one point, there was like a whole bunch of Punishers. It was really weird. Things got really odd.
Punisher League.
Yeah. But it reminds me more of like
the armed heroes.
the Punisher Warzone runs or something like that. But basically where it's a darker, grittier, meaner Frank who's gonna take a machete to these people and not necessarily just shoot them. But anyway, I'm excited to see him get some post Secret Wars, I guess you would call it, treatment, and to see that they come back alive. So I'm excited about that. Krypton TV show.
I'm gonna have to. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I know you have passionate feelings about this one.
Here's the thing.
Or really any kind of prequel, apparently, but go ahead. Or is it just DC prequel?
Who the fuck cares about Krypton?
I do. I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to tell you right now.
Why?
Hold on. For me, when watching Man of Steel, the first 15 minutes when they were at Krypton was the best part of the movie. Now, granted,
it's Jurassic Park, except the dinosaurs can fly.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the dragon taxi, but they had spaceships too. I mean, it was almost like a dude riding a horse in the middle of modern day New York. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Granted. But if you take out, basically the Man of Steel version of Jar Jar Binks, they just had that one screw up, right? If you take that out, the rest of the story, the rest of the planet, and the briefly introduced political, military, social systems that they had in place, I thought were actually really interesting, well thought out, and I wouldn't mind seeing a story that took place in that universe. Now, you're going to ask, how do you make it engaging? I don't know. I'm not the one spearheading the show. I'm just saying I would probably at least watch 1 or 2 episodes to give it a shot, which is what I did to Gotham, thinking it was going to be crap, and I ended up loving it. I was like, because I said the same thing you're saying now about who cares about Gotham before Batman.
Gotham is crap.
But it's not. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't like, you just don't like anything that's a prequel.
No, I don't have a problem with prequels.
Apparently, you do.
No, I don't. I really don't. If they're done correctly. Gotham is shit. Who cares? I don't want to turn on my television every week and watch the villains try to outsmart each other. I don't care.
I like it because it's a compelling crime drama. A little bit of gang, a little bit of mob feel, a whole lot of interesting characters.
It's not a mob show.
It is a mob show.
But don't fucking tardy it by using DC supervillains to get it done.
But okay, so fine. But that's not a fair gripe towards Krypton, because Krypton is not, presumably, other than maybe Brainiac or an early version of Brainiac.
Krypton is nothing more than the means to an end.
What end? They already have Superman. What's the means to the end?
That was it. It had already met its end, so there's no need.
Oh, you're saying as a concept, Krypton was a,
we just need some
an
place
origin story
for him to come from.
I get it, but I've read comics that have taken place prior to Superman's birth or launch on Krypton with Jor-El and his uncle. And
what's his uncle's name?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
What was the comic about?
It was actually about Brainiac.
And Brainiac did.
He took over the uncle, actually, and turned him into a weird hybrid, like Terminator RoboCop mix, but with Superman's powers. And he sent him from planet to planet to planet, basically wiping out all of existence.
So you mean they made a Supermanish character, and then had him do stuff?
That's every comic book movie ever.
It's not Gotham. It's not going to be Krypton. I guarantee you that.
Whatever, we'll see. All I'm saying is I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to argue its merits yet because it hasn't come out.
You want to make a TV show? Make Mega Man.
What's this? Mega Man?
I would watch a Mega Man TV show.
They had one. We'll go back and watch the reruns.
I want a live action one.
No, I'm not. Moving on. Final little piece of tidbit news that I'm personally super excited about. Kingsman 2 has an official release date, which is important, 2017, which is important because it means it's now an official movie that's really going to happen and it's coming out, which it kind of already was, but now it's even more official, and I'm really excited because I love the Kingsman.
Yes, the first one was really good.
So surprisingly, it gets so much better than the comic. It's a 6-run story, and it was just, I don't know if I just don't like Mark Miller's writing, maybe. I don't know why.
You're not going to win that contest.
And so many other people do. And so it could just be something weird with me. But I didn't like it. I thought, I saw what he was trying to do. Now, to be fair, it could be because I saw the movie first. Maybe if I just read the comic first.
Like, oh, this is really cool. Like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is
really
cool.
You can't go back and read the comic.
Shit, this is amazing.
Then you go read the comic, you're like, well, that's alright. Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's okay.
It'd be better if I could, things were moving, but for that,
that's alright.
Is the ship coming back on?
And then there's other movies you do the exact opposite. Like you look at Spider-Man, you go, that's kind of stupid. You bring up the comics, you're like, oh my god, this guy's awesome. See, so it goes in reverse too. It's
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, yes.
No, I would even argue the newer two. The comics are better than those movies.
Yeah,
because the comics are Spider-Man. That is his medium right there. Like that is where he.
I got a question for you.
All right.
Not to fly off topic, but again,
that's what we do.
This will happen. If you were making a Spider-Man movie,
yeah,
you had 2 villains you could put in the first movie. Who would it be?
Oh, do I have to use 2 villains?
You can use 3, but he has to beat one of them in the first 20 minutes.
So you can have an intro villain.
Yes, you get an intro villain, and then you get 2 main story villains.
Okay. So, and this is like, does this take place after, or is this like a standalone? It's like what Marvel's doing, where it's not an origin; he's just existing in the universe.
Yeah, he's already.
And let's just for sake of shits and giggles, go with modern day. He's in the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
So those are my constrictions.
Yes.
Now I have all rights to all Spider-Man villain characters. Okay. Just want to get all the legalese out of the way. So I think I would have him start with Hammerhead, because it's a cool character. I think it's a simple character though. He's a mobster, so it'd be a good intro character. He's in there. He's messing shit up. Spider-Man comes in to save the day. They have an epic fight. He's meta-human enough that he can put up a little bit of a fight with Spider-Man, but not enough that it's a major plot point. It's just a really good piece of action in the beginning, kind of like in Captain America 2 when he fought that Russian dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay. So he would be my guy. I don't know if I tie him into the rest of the movie or not. Probably not. Only if I had him working for Kingpin. And those would be my two villains. I think I'd have. I would definitely have Kingpin in the background, in a very Lex Luthor-ish way, where he's more observing and plotting. You know what I mean? Not like an out-and-out villain. Because what I would guess I would set up is probably in the second, if I had a sequel. The sequel would probably be him, Spider-Man fighting the Spider Slayer.
That's good.
After being basically framing Spider-Man, possibly with a goblin or something like that, or just fake spider, whatever. Kingpin framing him, and then the city giving him the contract to create the Spider Slayers, so he gets to kill Spider-Man. And he gets paid to do it. Like I just feel like that's something Kingpin would want. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do, but I want you to pay me to do what I want to do, or pay for me to do it. So. I think that would be cool, and then you can still introduce other characters in this, but that's the second movie. I haven't answered the first one yet. I'd like to do Venom, and really do it right. The hard part would be introducing the black suit, and then Venom. And do them both justice. Especially since, you're really assuming that people know who Spider-Man is because you're already changing the story. You don't even get to see him as Spider-Man before he's Black Suit Spider-Man. So that makes it a harder first movie. But I think it could be done effectively if you kept the black suit to a minimum. So there you go.
I think I would pick my throwaway villain. First villain would be the Shocker. Either the Shocker or Tombstone.
Tombstone would be an interesting one to see.
My main villains would be either Mysterio.
See, now I wanted to do Mysterio.
Because that would have been
but
cool looking fight. And then
but he has to be teamed up with somebody, which is where you're probably going.
Not necessarily.
Because Mysterio is good with, your traps, your illusions, but he's not always the strongest standalone. Like, he's good when he's teamed up with, like, Rhino. Or Vulture, somebody like that.
Vulture would be a good pick for a first villain also.
Well, I was excited. I was actually excited when they announced Sinister Six. And they kind of alluded to it in the second of the movies, where he was with the wings and the Doc Ock suit. And I was, I would have been interested in seeing that.
My last villain would be either Kraven or Scorpion.
Kraven was another one, and Scorpion. I think they were going to be on there. Scorpion, I've never liked. Don't care. I wouldn't want to see him. But hey, I didn't want to see Rhino either. So
I say Scorpion because you don't need a necessarily good actor to play Scorpion. You need a raging psycho with a scorpion suit.
Yeah.
And it'll be enough of a fight to where Spider-Man, he's really got to fight. Mm-hmm. He's got an actual battle on his hands. And the same thing with Kraven. Even though in some versions he's just a guy, but in some versions he's got like enhanced strength and shit like that. So I think both of those would make for good fights.
Yeah,
within the context of
I see them as secondary villains. Like, especially Kraven. Like, I don't see him being a great. You know who I think Kraven would be a good villain for? I guess villain's the right word.
Wolverine.
Oh yeah, that maybe too. But I was thinking Punisher. I know I always come back to Punisher, but like I feel like that would be an interesting, hunters versus hunter kind of thing.
You know what I want to see? There's two books I want to see. I want to see Punisher versus Predator and Kraven versus Predator.
That would be awesome. They did a Batman versus Predator,
which was cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't amazing, but it was cool.
But it was pretty cool.
Get his ass kicked. I think I have this thing about watching my heroes get their ass kicked.
Well, it proves that they're human. It proves that they're human. I think. I came up with the best Batman storyline for like if the book takes off and I become a famous writer one day, right?
By the way, this is tying into our next segment, which is Batman. So.
Yeah, sure. But if I ever get the chance to write a Batman story, I don't even want to say it like anybody's ever gonna say it. But like, where basically the Joker working for someone else, who I won't give away just in case some crazy ass.
Frank Miller's listening.
Yeah, I don't know. That steals my idea.
It's brilliant.
That I get, yeah. So likely. I'm gonna, basically somebody who works for Joker mauls down the Bat family, like just Tommy gun, right in front of Batman. Like Batman's trying to stop it, but he can't. Joker's just like hi, like boom boom. I'd probably laugh better than that. And at any rate, Batman's just like turns off, just snaps, like it's it, goes like almost blank, and like stunned at his epic failure, and he's just walking straight towards the Punisher straight towards the Joker, and I have mixed feelings on this because I love the Joker, but he walks out and you see the Joker just bang bang, he's like whoosh, whoosh, it's just going through him, and he just keeps coming. And Batman just gets up to him and he's like, he's just you, and he takes the gun out of the Joker's hands and just blows his head off. Like, that's how far he's gone. So then you skip forward 6-8 months, give him time. He's still Batman, but now he's like the Dark Knight. Like he's
completely off the road.
He's black. And like, so then you go
work because somebody with the Justice League would kill him.
No, like I'd love to see because I would even, essentially you said, I would even bring in a storyline where some of the other heroes like almost start to view him as a villain because that's how ridiculous he's getting. Like
like branding people.
Yeah, like Superman shows up and he's like branding people, which is gonna get us up in a minute. Like
that's why I threw it up.
Yeah, so like. Superman shows up and he's like trying to stop him or whatever, and he just like shoots him with a kryptonite bullet or something. He keeps just because you never know, Superman might show up. I don't know. I haven't thought of that. It was just the other day.
Oh wait, they did that.
Not Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Rises. Not the Dark Knight.
No, I know they made the incredibly dark Batman who kills people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Thomas Wayne.
What? Oh yeah. Then the alternate. That's true. But it's not Bruce Wayne hitting rock bottom and snapping. It's a little different. Speaking of our favorite flying rodent, the Batman. Debate time. Debate of the week. This crazy Batman versus Superman Nolan movie continuality theory that's 15 chapters long and 50 pages of evidence that was released on the internet that, for those of you who don't have time to read all that, basically says that the Nolan movies are canon, that Man of Steel is actually the 4th film in the Nolan universe, and BV Superman is the 5th film in the universe, which is why it's V, which is 5, as opposed to actually Batman vs. Superman. It's actually just Batman 5, Superman.
Wait. So, what's the 4th movie now?
Man of Steel. Man of Steel is the 4th Batman sequel. He's just not in it. But he is in it.
In the 5th movie.
In the 5th movie, when they go back and show you scenes from the 4th movie that you didn't see in the 4th movie because they didn't exist yet. And that is not comic book. Anyway, Batman v Superman is actually Batman 5, Superman. Okay? Hold on. I know what you're going to say. Oh, so they switched actors. No, that's the crazy part of the theory. They didn't, supposedly, according to this. because the rumored super secret actor slash character that was going to be that everybody's talking about that supposedly has been seen on set, but nobody knows who he is, and it's going to blow everything away. Everybody's saying that's Christian Bale. Yeah. Now, if you remember, I don't necessarily believe this by any stretch of the imagination, but he is convincing as hell. It's kind of like when you see those. The world is going to end on October 15th because the Bible says so. And you're like, that doesn't seem legit. And then they have like a 45-minute video explaining that for some reason you watch at 3 in the morning and you're like, man, maybe I should wait till the 16th to pay my rent bill just in case. You know what I mean? Like, it's that convincing. And the argument goes that at the end of the movie, there's some events that we don't see taking place during basically Man of Steel and just before. That's connect the two movies. So to fill in that gap, basically what they're saying happens is Bruce Wayne, which is Bale, he leaves, he goes into seclusion. Like we see in the movie. Not seclusion, but he goes off and I'm going to get there.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Then Joseph Gordon-Levitt character takes over the mantle, not as Batman, but as Robin and or Nightwing, but most likely Robin. Then he goes and he starts protecting the city, right?
But he's not in any of the movies either.
Well, no, they don't. That's all happening in between the movies, okay? But remember, even in the most official version of this movie, Batman's been kicking ass in the city for 20 years that haven't existed in the movie anyway. So that isn't a stretch that this could happen. That these events could happen just outside of an actual movie. Okay? Because who wants to watch a movie about Robin? Unless it's continuing on, and they don't want to do that, not you. Okay. So anyway, probably a lot of people would, but I don't know that it would be big enough for a movie.
The movie.
Anyway. I don't think he does that.
He does now.
Oh, God. So... Anyway, he becomes Robin, and he's kind of protecting the city or whatnot. And then the Joker breaks out. This would be Heath Ledger's Joker. There's this huge fight scene, and the Joker basically goes all Jason Todd on him. And by the time Batman v Superman rolls around, the original Joker's dead, possibly from Robin's hand, or possibly from, I guess I should have maybe mentioned this sooner. There is a new Batman. It's not Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I hate his name. It's not him. He's Robin. But after he starts being a Robin a while, he gets a mentor in one Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, who becomes Batman. Not Bruce Wayne, different actor. Therefore, Ben Affleck is actually playing Slade Wilson and Deathstroke, or pre-Deathstroke, and that's who's running around Batman.
In Batman's car.
Yes, because he's assumed the mantle.
Batman mech suit.
Yes, and that's who's playing Batman in the movie, and that's what we're seeing. Now hold on, there's more, because of course there's more.
There's always more.
If you remember, Slade Wilson in the comics he was Batman at one point in the series, in the comics. So, and as the gentleman points out, there's a very, very strong resemblance in their costumes. The one in the movie and the one where Slade Wilson is the Batman. But during that time, he also had an army or a family of assassins. So the theory is, because he knew Bruce Wayne, presumably had Bruce Wayne's blessing to be Batman and take over the guys, when the attack came, he told his family to meet at Wayne Tower. Like, we have a relationship, maybe we have a base, whatever the case is, everybody meet at Wayne Tower. And he's on the phone with one of his family members when the building comes down. Right? Okay. And it's his family that died in that building, which is why the clip
The Bat Family?
No, there's not the Bat Family. The family of mercenaries that Slade Wilson has.
Just because Batlings.
Yes, but they're not associated with the Bat title. They're not associated with Batman. They're associated with
Slade.
Right. Which would be why when you see like news clippings like "you let your family die again," it's not referring to his family, meaning Thomas Wayne. It's referring to it's actually referring to the family that died in the Wayne Tower. Now, interesting. I don't think this is real, but this is what's going around. I'm telling you, the guy puts a lot of effort into it. At the end, Bruce Wayne comes back with a plan to because the big reveal is that Lex Luthor actually creates Bizarro Superman and uses Bizarro Superman to do horrible things while he has real Superman locked up by a kryptonite. So everybody hates Superman and gives Lex Luthor the ability to do cloning and create an army. And so Bruce Wayne figures it out. Yeah, I know. Comes back, rallies up Batman. So they have Batman and Batman because Bruce Wayne has his own costume, reminiscent of the Dark Knight. And Slade has his costume. And then you got Wonder Woman, and then everybody else comes in, and then they all rescue Superman.
I mean, that clusterfuck I was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so all that to say, Christian Bale is Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck is Batman, but is actually Slade Wilson. Oh, and of course, Jeremy Irons would be Slade Wilson's butler, not Alfred, who would still be presumably Michael Caine.
So, Slade's Batman.
Yeah.
And the Joker's Jason Todd.
Oh, yes, because the real Joker dies, and Jason Todd takes over, and is actually now Jared Leto. In that case, they did just switch actors. Yeah, there's some holes in the theory. I'm not saying that it's a great theory. I'm just saying that some people apparently are buying into it.
I would rather.
Here's where I'm gonna.
Azrael.
Huh?
I'd have rather it had been Azrael.
I'd have been okay with that.
Like,
That'd have been awesome.
I guess.
It'd be awesome. It'd have been better.
Fuck it. I'll take it.
My thing is, in the trailer, you see Thomas Wayne getting killed. It's
There's way
it's
too
a
much
comedian.
direct Bruce Wayne things happening for him.
That's what I'm trying to say. I think the theory is total garbage.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I guess it's not really much of a debate since we agree, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I thought there was
I
a
thought you were
lot
gonna-
more evidence.
Well, he's got a shit ton of evidence. There's a lot
Well, I meant as far
of
as
evidence.
this doesn't even make for a good movie.
No, I agree.
I don't understand the point.
Well, and it's confusing and it's just stupid. Well, the idea is that now Christian Bale Batman can come back in and join the Justice League, and so can Deathstroke, which would be Ben Affleck.
But
You could just introduce Deathstroke as a different character with a different actor. Yeah, you could do that.
But we already know that Ben Affleck has signed on to do 3 movies.
3 Batman movies. Yeah.
3 solo Batman movies, right?
I don't know because I think 2 of them are Justice League. And if that's the case, Justice League technically he could be playing either character. And Suicide Squad
And he's in Suicide Squad.
could take place. That scene, at least, if not the whole movie, could take place prior to BVS. Because the scene that Batman's in is the scene where he's catching the Joker and Harley Quinn to put them in jail. That could happen any time. Could have happened way before. It could have happened before Man of Steel.
I think that does happen early. But yeah, I gotta say I don't know if I believe that theory.
Like,
Jason Todd's theory is much more sound.
that one's
There's
interesting.
a lot more evidence to it,
I don't like it,
and
but I don't like
I don't
it.
like it either because
It is looking like that with the bullet holes. I see where they might do that. But
the
I
reason
really
I don't
hope they
like
don't do
it
that.
is because I feel like it's a great big slap in the face of the character
Of Robin
of Rock.
and the Joker. Yeah,
Not even so much of the Joker.
I think it is the Joker because here you finally, like it's almost like a cop out. Like we don't want to compete with Heath Ledger, so we're gonna make Joker, but we're gonna make a Robin Joker. So it's not an actual comparison. And then
For all that, they should have let Jared Leto play Red Hood. But okay, you show up and start fucking shit up. You run around capping bad guys. Hell, we'll bring in the Riddler for 5 minutes. And we can have you nearly kill the Riddler and Batman show up and he gets away. And you've like scarred the Riddler for like, we're done with him. But we just so we can introduce you as Red Hood. Because you as Joker makes no damn sense.
And also, I would just be okay with there being a dead Robin. That's okay. Doesn't mean you can't have another Robin later on. It just means you had one and they died, which gives Batman all the more motivation to figure out what the hell's going on with Superman.
Like,
how is that a slap
you skip
in
the
the
first. You make 3 movies.
You're skipping the first 20 years of Batman's life. How is that not a slap in the face of Batman?
Because he's fucking Batman.
Because he can take it, but Robin's a bitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, then there you go. Robin's a bitch. He doesn't deserve it.
He deserves it. He's Robin.
No,
the boy wonder.
No.
You can't. You skip the character twice. Because we knew he wasn't going to be in the first one. And we damn sure knew he wasn't going to be in the last one.
Yeah, but I don't.
And then
I don't think you need him.
If you're going to do this whole superhero colossal world thing, he is the quintessential war machine to your Iron Man. While you don't really need him,
yeah, but War Machine,
having War Machine just come in every other movie for like 5 minutes and blow something up.
Fine, but then introduce him as Nightwing, not Robin.
I disagree, God, because the fans have waited on Robins. So just give them Robin. Just go, like, okay, fine, here, take him, boom. No matter what incarnation you get, you're going to like it. Because
I don't know. I've seen Robin on screen, and I didn't like it either time.
There was only one.
There was 2. They were both Crystal Donald.
Oh yeah. I mean,
but they were 2 different versions of Robin.
That was like Batman 66. That was like very comic book Batman.
It was Joel Schumacher Batman, which is a disgrace. Now let me tell you one thing about that though. I was so mad because they gave Robin the Nightwing costume. They gave him an awesome Nightwing costume. For that time, they gave him an awesome costume. And they did that with that movie, and that with the character. I was so disappointed. Chris O'Donnell even looked the part. If he could act, it would have been amazing.
He didn't play it bad to me.
What? Well, I mean, it's hard to tell because it's such a bad movie.
So I think it was a comic book movie, in the very essence of the word comic book movie.
Comedic? Yeah, maybe.
No, like if someone literally took a comic book and was like, okay, it's a movie now, watch it. That's what you would have gotten. Everything about it was very comic booky. Even Mr. Freeze gonna you're stuck in like a human shaped block. Come on, my trusty bat heater to melt you. You're a fucking comic book.
What about the Batman credit card? That's not even a comic book thing.
It's cheesy and it's comic booky.
It's a disgrace. It's like that was. Clearly, it was made for kids.
Yes,
it's a disgrace to the character because Batman's fans aren't. I mean, they are, but they're not kids. A lot of his fans are older. They deserve, and most of his storylines are not for kids. I mean, they made an animated series because he's such a cool character, but they made a much lighter version. And by the way, one of the best cartoons ever made to this day. But other than that, and then the old Adam West, which that's really what it reminded me of, was the old Adam West movie, which was horrible, by the way. But you're right, it was a campy version, but that had no place. It made sense in 1960, whatever. It doesn't have any place in anything remotely close to modern times.
But
especially since you had set the precedent. You had set the precedent with, I have to let this go, with Batman and then Batman Returns. You had set a dark, realistic. He did a Christopher Nolan before there was a thing called Christopher Nolan. Like Tim Burton did the realistic. He just did it in the 80s. It was amazing. It was perfect. Like the original Batman.
That wasn't supposed to be the comic booky one we're referring to was not supposed to be a realistic version of the character.
Which is why it wasn't good. It wasn't necessarily well received.
But that's why I can't say it was bad. Because I didn't, when I watched it, even as a kid, when I watched it for the first time, I didn't say, okay, this is going to be what a real life version of this is going to be like. I was like, this is going to be a comic book acted out.
Maybe.
And it made sense to me in that aspect.
In that kind of context.
Yeah.
Fine, I guess. I just wish I had done it because I like my original.
Kind of like the old version of The Flash. The sitcom.
Versus the new.
Yeah, that was very comic booky.
That's true.
As opposed to this one being more real world.
Yeah, that's fair.
And in their context, they're kind of the same. Or in their own realms, are kind of the same. Even though they're so drastically different.
Yeah, and I think I'm okay with that. I think my problem lies in that it was supposed to be a direct sequel. And you went from you're very dark, like very, very dark with Batman Returns to much lighter with Batman Forever. It was almost like Joe Schumacher knew he wanted to make Batman and Robin and make it totally ridiculous. But in order to do that, he had to do that middle point with Batman Forever, where it was kind of ridiculous.
Everything
but not
about the
quite.
Setup of those two movies was perfect. They had the perfect cast of villains, with the exception of Bane.
Yes. You know what? Even Bane wasn't necessarily cast poorly. He was just written poorly. Same thing with this most recent version of Bane. But go ahead.
And that's another thing. I'm going to go on a tangent. For all you people who loved the Dark Knight Rises, and your Bane with his little mouth guard, you're an idiot. And I love it. I like those people. Don't stop watching, by the way. But no, that's not Bane. It's not.
No, it's not. Bane is not 6 inches shorter than Batman.
What made Bane so cool in the comic books was he was way stronger than Batman. And he was just as smart.
Maybe even smarter.
Actually. So it was like, the world's greatest detective can't outthink this motherfucker, and he can't beat him.
It was either I'm going to beat you with my skill, or if you're too strong, I'll outsmart you. Like, if you're Killer Croc, I'm going to outsmart you.
If you're Penguin, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I'm just going to beat the crap
out of you. I got them both. But Bane does too. And, you know, a lot of people say, and I guess it's true, that, you know, the Joker is Batman's thing. But no, it's Bane, man. Bane is his enemy.
I would agree with the Joker only because when it comes to Bane, Batman can follow a path of logic. Like, okay, Bane did X, Y, Z for these reasons.
Except that...
And he doesn't have to get to the end to see why Bane did all that stuff.
Sometimes. But remember, Bane's smart enough to know that and can set false traps.
True.
And lead him off on wild goose chases. So...
I would compare them to Bane versus Batman and Bane versus Joker as Batman and Bane are playing chess, and they're like top chess players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a counter to every move.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas to Batman versus the Joker is like the Joker being a chess genius, and his moves are so erratic that there's no logic to them in Batman's eyes until the end.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, but I still would say that as far as his most formidable foe, it's going to be Bane.
Oh, yes.
I think.
Overall,
he's a total package.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so upset with both versions.
He's Batman times
2. Literally. Yeah.
But I mean, the thing I think that always plagued Batman about the Joker was he couldn't figure out why. And with everybody else, he could always put his finger on a definite why.
Yeah, there is a cause. The Joker is a mystery. Batman doesn't like unsolvable mysteries.
Destroys shit. He just throw gasoline on it, set it on fire. Throw a puppy in there, see what happens.
So, I mean, still though.
I have my own movie theory.
Oh Lord. Okay, good.
Jared Leto, by the end of the movie, will be wearing the red hood.
No. No.
Everybody else gets a crazy theory. I'm throwing mine out there.
Everybody else has evidence. You just got some hopes and dreams over here.
Yeah, I think I just really want a red hood movie.
I'm excited about Jared Leto playing the Joker. I think he'll do a good job with it. But I don't know.
I feel like we're getting this.
I don't know about like the version that he's playing.
I feel like we're putting like an old Batman in the Batman Beyond universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that works. I really don't think it does.
Well, yeah, we need our Terry McGillis, like, to come in and don the super futuristic.
If I can't get Robin, can I get Batman Beyond?
That would be cool. Isn't that supposed to be at some point?
No, that should have been the next Batman movie.
Oh, I 100% agree. After Dark Knight Rises, you know what? They should have skipped Dark Knight Rises. Just made Batman Beyond.
They could have did them both. They could have literally put them both together and everybody would have been happy. But get another movie, Bane breaks Batman's back. And he doesn't quite recover. Not like he does in the comic book.
Yeah, he turns into old man cripple.
Yeah, he turns
I hate to word it that way, but that's what he is. Yeah. And so then he needs a Terry McGillis.
And Terry comes in, puts on the Batman Beyond suit, beats the shit out of Bane at the end of the movie.
Bing, bang, boom.
Bada bing, bang, boom.
I love it.
We can even make it so fucking he finds some tech and heals Batman's back, and then Batman can go join the Justice League.
Absolutely, it could be an exosuit or something.
Yes, just you can absolutely work, and everybody would be like, "Oh, okay, I'll take that."
Of course, I mean, he put on a leg brace. In the movie, he went from being unable to walk, but he's out of shape for 6 years, hasn't done it. Put on a leg brace, and all of a sudden he's swinging through the air again, doing backflips.
That's the thing that made me so mad about that movie. When he put on that leg brace, he kicked a cement pillar and took a chunk out of the pillar.
Yeah, I saw it.
Kicked Bane in the fucking shin and beat his ass. You hide in the dark. No, I hide with my foot. My leg!
Yeah, well, in the argument, not to go back to the original, but in that same crazy theory we were talking about earlier, there's even a part in it that is that Bane was introducing metahumans. That he's not just a really strong dude, he was actually a metahuman. Minor powered metahumans can exist in the larger DC universe, therefore people like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg and whoever else they introduced are not coming out of nowhere. They've been around. We showed you one in Dark Knight Rises. How do you not realize it? Anyway, the point is the whole theory is ridiculous. Alright, what are you reading this week?
Amazing Spider-Man #2. Get a good look at that. Yes. Picks up right where the last one left off.
They usually do.
Parker is attempting to get his encrypted watch back from the Zodiac, which is this weird group of Zodiac sign themed villains that all look strange. If you want to thumb through there, you could probably find a picture of them. You'll know them when you see them. What else happens?
These guys?
No, those are just the minions. They're farther in the back. We see him dealing with the actual struggles of owning a company and a company that's under attack, and his investors want answers, and he's just trying to keep everybody calm. Like, I'll handle this. Don't worry. I'm Spider-Man. I got it.
These guys?
Yeah, them. These funny-looking motherfuckers. I don't know if you guys can get a good shot of these. This freak right here, Aquarius. Yeah, she's a weird one. But yeah.
Cool. Recommend it? What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Scale of 1 to 10. And the overall story, I would give it a 8 because it pushes the story along nicely and leaves you with just enough to want to read what happens in the third issue. By itself, I'd give it a 9. We had a lot of action, not too much talking about nothing that didn't pertain to anything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a really good issue. I would definitely
Good. And I'm glad
recommend
it's
it.
Peter Parker. It's not
Yes.
Doc Ock / Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Not that was a good series. Don't get me wrong. I miss Peter Parker.
It was just watching somebody who you know was gonna fail
just waiting.
just deteriorate rapidly.
Yeah, it was sad.
I just can't take this. I suck at Spider-Man.
Talked about it briefly last week. Inhumans 001. Basically, without giving too much away, Black Bolt is looking for his son who was hidden away when Black Bolt thought the apocalypse was coming. He said, "Take my son and hide him somewhere in the past where he won't be affected by this." Well, now that there wasn't an apocalypse, he's like, "Okay, now I want my son back because he's my living heir and I need to pass my throne to him." So while he's out jumping off through time trying to find him and running into various issues and problems doing that, back at home, Medusa is running the Inhumans. They have their own floating city, of course.
I tell you.
Mm-hmm. But they still interact heavily with New York and other parts of the globe because now that the mist has been spread, Inhumans are popping up everywhere, so they feel like they can no longer be a hidden population. As she worded it, something like, we were once thousands among billions, but now we're everywhere. There's no hiding anymore. And they have a very strained relationship right now with the X-Men, but really just mutants as a whole, as a group. Where, I mean, it's almost like the mutants feel threatened. Like, we're supposed to be next. They were always kind of this, we're the next stage of human evolution, we should rule kind of thing. And when they weren't getting...
They're humans.
And now there's Inhumans, which are like, well, first of all, we're older than you, so sit down. And also, we're so much crazier than you. And we have better writers. And so, personal opinion. And so they come in and it's, there's now this conflict between them. And so, what's interesting though is Hank, Beast, is actually in secret working with Medusa to try to find a solution to this ever-growing problem.
Question.
Yeah.
Do they reference the Terrigen bomb's effect on mutants in this book?
Not specifically in this book, no. Potentially they might in the series, but not in this particular book.
For all of you who don't know, sorry.
No.
But for everybody who doesn't know, once the Inhumans dropped the bomb, if you were Inhuman, you became an Inhuman. If you were a mutant, you either died or became sterile. So...
negative effects, basically.
Yeah, nothing good comes of you interacting with this mess.
Unless you're a human, that could potentially be it. That has Inhuman DNA. In which case, you're going to end up a lot cooler. Or a
a lot worse.
Yeah, or a bug.
Or a door.
Yeah. So, really, this mist is not, your odds aren't good.
No.
It's like the lottery. If you win, you're going to win big. But if you lose, you just should have not played.
Yeah, it's
like a high stakes lottery, like $100.
Not only are you gonna lose, but you're gonna owe us $1,000.
Yeah, not only did you lose, you lost $100 or $1,000. Like, I've been better off not playing. So, at any rate, though, it's a much more, I think, interesting team, and I'm very excited to see this new version come to life. And I will say that there's something that is very insinuary, I guess would be the right word, at the end, that happens when Black Bolt finally returns home. That's all I'll say. Read the comic; it's pretty neat. So, do you have any others? I don't think we have any others up here, unless you. I didn't bring mine up.
There's one other thing. Well, there's two other things actually. For all of you who will be seeing this, we might be starting something new if we get enough suggestions and ideas. Hero of the Month, where we will cover a hero of your choosing for a whole month. So we'll do like 4 big stories on that guy or girl or door
Per person.
if he's
Very true.
human.
That's true.
And the variant of the week.
Yes.
This week we have
You're gonna mess up the.
Iron Man #2. And what's cool about this is, no, Iron Man's not on the cover, but we're looking at a very old Marvel villain in Fin Fang Foom. And he's going up against Thor. So
Beautiful.
you definitely might want to go and pick that up.
I'm liking the variants. That's I think it's been a good couple months for that.
Yeah.
Very, very, very impressive. There's one more, and I don't have a physical copy, but if you're into looking outside the 2 big guys, check out an Image comic. It's called Wolf. The issue that just came out is issue 4, I believe, this week, and it's a really interesting mix between kind of a superhero and paranormal world. Basically, you have the main character, Wolf, is a paranormal investigator. He has heightened senses and strength, things like that. Goes and finds out that there's this whole world full of all sorts of creatures, vampires, demons of various shapes and sizes, incubi and such, and mutant creatures. Most humans just don't see it. It's part of they explain it by it's part of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can't see. That's what they're. Yeah. But he can, and so can this little girl who may or may not be the harbinger of the apocalypse.
Oh,
yeah,
she's sweet.
Very, very well. She is. That's what's ironic. And so, but it's a very interesting little title. I would definitely pick up all 4 and get caught up. But it's not the best written comic I've ever read by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got a very interesting story and some interesting characters that kind of make up for the drier moments of dialogue. So I would definitely recommend that as well. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week. We will be back next Friday with a pathetic attempt at news.
And another rant or 2.
And lots of rants and rabbit holes that we will traverse. Hopefully we'll have our 3rd host back next week. We will see. Until then, have fun reading. And good night.
Peace.